Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Prince Automation Destination. This side Prince. Welcome once again to our GitLab series. So in our last lecture of GitLab series, we discussed the concept of runner, wherein we covered different type of runners. In case you are not familiar with what is runner in GitLab, I would request you to please check out my previous video, which I'll be sharing in the I icon. As discussed in the last lecture, that there are two type of runners. One is GitLab managed runners, which is managed by GitLab, and on the other hand, we can set up our own runners as well on our own private infrastructure. It could be Google Cloud, it could be AWS machine, Azure machine, or it could be on-premise machine as well. So in today's lecture, we are going to talk about how to set up self-managed private runner in the Windows machine. Okay, so these are the steps. Let us try to understand one by one. So first of all, we need to download GitLab Runner exe and we need to keep it into one folder. After that, we need to install this runner. Once installation has been completed, the next step is we need to set up a connectivity between the gitlab.com and the GitLab runner so that they can talk to each other and gitlab.com can get its job processed by the GitLab runner, right? So for that purpose, we'll have to register the runner against the GitLab instance. During registration, we need to choose executor as well. So executor is a component or option which will actually provide the actual environment where we actually want our job to be executed, right? Now we have understood the steps. Let us try to understand from the diagram and then we'll jump onto the practical demonstration, right? So first of all, we'll have to download the GitLab runner. Then we'll have to install the runner. After that, we need to set up a connectivity between the GitLab runner and the GitLab instance. So we'll be registering it, and during registration, we'll be choosing one executor, right? Now let us jump to the practical demonstration. So I'm going to gitlab.com, and here I'm going inside this particular project which we are discussing as part of this series, GitLab Demo YT. After navigating to this particular project, we are navigating to settings section, which is available at bottom left side, right? Then I'm navigating to CI/CD. Under CI/CD, you will find one option that is runners option, and here you will find one option that is project runners, and I'm going to click on new project runner. So this is the first step towards it, right? Now, while creation of runner, we need to provide the label as well or tag as well. So what is this tag? It gives some sort of mapping to the runner so that we can utilize or we can use this particular tag I mean in the job so that we can execute a particular job against this runner by specifying this particular tag. Okay, so let us provide demo runner. You will get more understanding when we'll be discussing about the pipeline in the next lecture. Okay, now these are the separate options. So paused, if we don't want this runner to be used by any job, so we can pause it and it won't be able to process any of the job posted, right? Then protected is the option if we want this particular runner to be utilized for the protected branches. What are protected branches? So when we work in GitLab or GitHub, what happens is we have some main branches which we don't want everyone to push their changes, so we make them protected, right? So if we make them protected, then in such cases, if I'll select this option, so this runner will be used for those protected branches. It could be master or develop, right? Now lock to current projects, whether we want to use this particular runner for the current project. So let us select this. This is maximum job timeout, meaning we can specify some timeout for the job, like after which it will time out, right? For example, it is executing something and let us say it is taking 15 minutes, right? So 15 minutes is the maximum timeout that we have defined, and it is still not able to complete the execution, so it will be timed out, right? Then let us click on create runner. So in our case, it is going to be operating system is going to be Windows, right? Then after what we need to scroll down and you will see that GitLab runner must be installed before you can register a runner, right? So this is what we just discussed. So I'm clicking on this. How can I install GitLab runner? So these are the steps given. So you can choose your architecture. In my case, it is AMD 64. You can check yours. It stands for 64 and this stands for 32, right? Now you can download the binary. So they have given the steps related to PowerShell. You can use PowerShell, but you can directly use this particular URL as well to download the driver exe. So you can simply copy paste this particular URL, and what you can do after copy pasting this, you can hit this URL here, and you can, if you will hit enter, you will be able to download this particular runner exe, right? In my case, I have already downloaded, right? So what I'll be doing next, I have created one folder, that is GitLab Runner. So we need to navigate to this particular GitLab Runner folder. So I have downloaded that GitLab Runner exe and kept it here under this particular GitLab Runner, so which I have created under GitLab like C drive. Okay. Now what is the next step, right? So it is saying that we need to install it, right? So in order to install it, what do I need to do? We should have some cmd open. So what I've done, I have opened one cmd with admin mode. So you can open cmd, and I have already navigated to this particular folder using cd, and I have navigated here. Now what is the next step? They have mentioned next step as install, right? This is what we just discussed. So I'm going to copy this line, and now going to cmd, and you see that it is installed. What is the next step? It has said, it is saying it is start. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press tab key, or I'm going to press arrow key, actually up arrow key, and I can use start this time. So using start, GitLab Runner will be started, right? It is so far installed only, right? And now let us come back to these steps, right? So the next step is we need to set up the connectivity between the GitLab Runner and the gitlab.com. So this is the command, gitlab runner.exe register hyphen URL. So we want to register it against this gitlab.com because our URL is gitlab.com. Okay, then it has generated some token which will be utilized to connect the GitLab runner with the GitLab instance. So I'm going to copy this line I'm in using this particular icon, and I'm going here in CMD, and after that I'm going to hit enter. So as soon as I enter, it is saying like against which instance you want to set up this runner, right? So I can simply copy paste this particular thing URL I'm in, and then after what it is saying, you can provide some name. So let us provide name demo, right? Then it is saying that choose the executor what we want. So if we want to execute our test cases on some remote machine from the current machine, we can choose SSH. Or if because we want to utilize the current Windows machine as well, meaning we want to execute the test cases in the current machine as well, so in that case we can use shell, right? So it will be using Windows shell, which would be PowerShell, right? And in case you want to execute your test cases in Docker Windows, meaning Docker installed in Windows, and you want your test cases to be executed in the Docker container, so you can choose Docker Windows. But in my case, I'm going to choose shell. Okay. Now you see that runner has been registered successfully, right? So we have followed all the steps, and runner is registered now, right? And as a result of it, what happened, it created one config.toml file, which we'll be discussing later. Okay. Now let me come here. So this is config.toml, it has generated. Now come to the UI part. Okay, so if you go to the UI part, you will see that you have registered a new runner. Okay, so you will see this runner now. So runner has been created, and it is connected with this particular GitLab instance, and is available to use, right? So we'll be discussing, or we'll be utilizing this particular runner in the subsequent lectures, where we'll be utilizing this particular runner to execute our job. Okay, so this is how we can set it up, right? So we can pause this as well by clicking on this. If we want to remove it, we can remove it as well. And in case we want to change these configurations here, so we can click on edit, and we can change the options, right? So we can make select the protected, post, whatever the options that we have discussed, and we can save changes, right? So this is how we can change the configurations as well. Now coming to the config.toml, so there is a config.toml file getting generated. So let us open this config.toml. So what does this provide? It says that concurrent jobs it accepts is one, so you can make it to 2, 3. So at a time, two jobs can, if you will provide two, so two concurrent jobs can utilize this particular error. If you will come here, so this is runner's information, and it is registered against this particular GitLab instance. This is the ID, this is the token it has used when the token was obtained, and the executor used was shell, and shell is again PowerShell, right? PWSH. For now, you notice that PWSH, right? So this is how we can register a private error, and this is where the configurations are stored. This is what I wanted to cover as part of current lecture, guys. Thank you for watching. I would request you to please like, share and subscribe. Thank you once again.